Admiral Jack Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking out at the stars. He had been commander of Earth's space fleet for 5 years now. The job was not easy, but he loved it. Earth had joined the Galactic Council 15 years ago, and things had been peaceful since then. The Council was made up of 12 different alien races. They all worked together to keep peace in the galaxy. Earth was the newest member, and humans were still learning how things worked. The aliens had better technology and more ships, but they welcomed Earth as a friend. Jack thought about how much had changed. When he was young, humans only dreamed of traveling to other stars. Now they had colonies on dozens of worlds. Human ships carried trade goods across the galaxy. Human soldiers fought alongside aliens to protect innocent people from pirates and rebels. Captain Lisa Turner walked onto the bridge. She commanded the USS Defiant, one of Earth's newest ships. Her face looked worried, and Jack could tell something was wrong. "Admiral, we need to talk," Lisa said quietly. "It's about the Council communications I've been monitoring." Jack nodded and followed her to his private office. Lisa was one of his best officers. She was smart and careful, never jumping to conclusions. If she was worried, there was a good reason. "What did you find?" Jack asked as they sat down. Lisa pulled out a datapad and showed him several files. "I've been tracking Council fleet movements for the past month. Something strange is happening. Their ships are moving into positions around human space, but they're not telling us why." Jack looked at the star maps on the screen. Red dots showed Council ships gathering near Earth's colonies. There were a lot more ships than usual, and they were all military vessels. "Maybe they're planning some kind of exercise," Jack suggested. "They've done that before." "That's what I thought too," Lisa replied. "But then I found these encrypted messages between Council commanders." She showed him another file. The text was partially decoded, but Jack could read enough to understand the meaning. Words like human threat and elimination protocol jumped out at him. "This can't be right," Jack said, feeling cold inside. "The Council are our allies. We've fought together against the Zephyrian pirates. We've shared our technology with them." "I know, sir. I didn't want to believe it either. But there's more." Lisa showed him ship manifests and supply orders. Council forces were stockpiling weapons and ammunition. They were preparing for a major military operation, and all the evidence pointed to human space as the target. Just then, Jack's communication system beeped. It was an urgent message from Lieutenant Commander Ryan Davis. Ryan was Earth's liaison officer, stationed aboard the Council flagship. He worked directly with the alien commanders and reported back to Earth about Council activities. "Admiral Morrison, this is Ryan. I'm transmitting from an escape pod. The Council just tried to arrest me. They know I discovered their plans." Jack's blood ran cold. He activated the emergency channel to speak with Ryan directly. "Ryan, are you safe?" "What happened?" "I was in the Council command center when I overheard Admiral Crix talking to the other commanders. They've been planning this for months, sir. They call it Operation Extinction. They're going to attack Earth and all our colonies at the same time." Jack felt sick. The Council had been planning to destroy humanity while pretending to be friends. All those years of cooperation had been a lie. "They said humans are becoming too strong," Ryan continued. "Our technology is advancing too fast. They're afraid we'll surpass them in a few years, so they want to eliminate us now while they still can." Lisa was recording everything. This was evidence of the Council's betrayal, but would anyone believe it? The Council had a good reputation. They were known as peacekeepers and protectors of weak species. "How long do we have?" Jack asked. "Not long, sir. They're planning to attack during the Peace Summit next week. All the human leaders will be gathered on the Council homeworld. While they're distracted, The Council fleet will strike our colonies and Earth itself. Jack's mind raced. The Peace Summit was supposed to celebrate 15 years of human membership in the Council. Earth's president and many important officials would be there. If the Council attacked during the summit, they would wipe out humanity's leadership in one blow. Ryan, get to the nearest human outpost. We need you to testify about what you heard. Already on my way, sir. But Admiral, there's something else. The Council has been copying our technology for years. They have detailed plans of our ships, our weapons, even our defense systems. They know exactly how to hurt us. The communication ended, leaving Jack and Lisa alone in the office. The silence was heavy with the weight of what they had learned. Earth's trusted allies were actually enemies preparing for genocide. What do we do? Lisa asked. Jack stood up and walked to the window. Earth was visible in the distance. A blue jewel in the darkness. Billions of humans lived on that world, going about their daily lives, unaware that death was coming for them. We prepare for war, Jack said firmly. Contact all fleet commanders. Tell them to return to human space immediately. We need to recall every ship and every soldier. The Council will notice if we pull back our forces, Lisa warned. Let them notice. We can't pretend to be friends anymore. The Council has shown their true face, and now we must show ours. Jack activated the fleet-wide communication system. In a few minutes, he would have to tell his officers that their allies had become their enemies. He would have to explain that. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge since leaving Earth. But first, he had to warn his government. The Peace Summit was a trap, and Earth's leaders needed to know before it was too late. The Council thought they were clever, but they had made one mistake. They had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt and survive. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin. The attack came without warning. Admiral Karen Hughes was drinking her morning coffee on Mars Command when the alarm started screaming. Through the large viewing window, she watched in horror as Council ships dropped out of hyperspace and began firing on the civilian mining stations. All stations, this is Mars Command. Karen shouted into her communicator. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. The Council ships were everywhere. They had surrounded Mars completely, cutting off all escape routes. Their weapons tore through the mining platforms like paper, sending debris and bodies spinning. Into space. Karen had only 12 defense ships stationed at Mars. The Council had brought over 200 warships. The odds were impossible, but she had to try to save as many people as possible. Launch all fighters, she ordered. Get those transports loaded with civilians and ready to jump. On the other side of the solar system, Captain Steve Miller was having the same nightmare. His ship, the USS Guardian, was docked at Luna Station when the Council fleet arrived. The station was full of research scientists and their families, over 10,000 people in total. Captain, we're surrounded. His weapons officer reported. Council ships are jamming our communications. Steve looked at the tactical display. Dozens of alien ships were closing in on Luna Station. They were broadcasting a message on all frequencies, but it was not a demand for surrender. It was a death sentence. This is Admiral Crix of the Galactic Council, the message played. Humanity has been judged a threat to galactic peace. All human installations will be destroyed. All human ships will be eliminated. This is not negotiable. Steve felt rage building inside him. These aliens had pretended to be friends for 15 years. They had eaten dinner with humans, shared stories, even fought side by side against common enemies. Now they were murdering innocent people without mercy. Begin emergency evacuation, Steve ordered. Get every civilian onto the transport ships. We'll hold them off as long as we can. The Guardian was not a warship. It was designed for exploration and rescue missions. But Steve's crew had trained for combat, and they would not go down without a fight. Meanwhile, Commander Amy Rodriguez was fighting the battle of her life at Earth's orbital shipyards. The massive construction platforms were building Earth's newest ships, but they were also completely defenseless. The Council knew this and targeted them first. "Rodriguez to all units," she called over the radio. "Form up on my position. We need to protect the evacuation ships." Amy's small squadron of patrol boats was all that stood between the Council fleet and thousands of civilian workers. The aliens had brought their best warships, vessels that could destroy planets if necessary. The first wave of Council fighters screamed down on the shipyards. Amy's pilots met them head-on, their smaller ships dancing between the massive construction beams. The space around Earth's orbit became a deadly maze of laser fire and explosions. "Commander, we're losing ships fast," one of her pilots reported. "There are too many of them." Amy watched 2 more of her fighters explode. The Council pilots were good, but they were not expecting such fierce resistance from humans. Amy's people were fighting like cornered animals, using every trick they knew. Back on Mars, Karen was coordinating the evacuation while fighting off wave after wave of Council ships. Her defense fleet was down to 6 ships, but they had managed to save over half the civilians. "Admiral, the last transport is ready to jump," her communications officer reported. "Tell them to go," Karen shouted back. "We'll cover their escape." The transport ship, loaded with 500 miners and their families, began to accelerate away from Mars. Council ships moved to intercept it, but Karen's remaining fighters got in their way. "This is Admiral Hughes to all Council ships," Karen broadcast. "You want to fight someone? Fight me." Her ship, the Mars Defender, charged straight into the Council formation. The aliens turned their weapons on her, surprised by the suicidal attack. But Karen was not trying to win. She was buying time for the civilian ship to escape. The Mars Defender took hit after hit, but Karen kept fighting. Her ship was falling apart around her, but she held the trigger down on her weapons. 3 Council ships exploded before her own. Ship finally died at Luna Station. Steve was facing the same impossible choice. The station was doomed, but he had managed to get most of the civilians onto transport ships. Only 1 ship remained, and it was having engine trouble. "Captain, they're targeting the transport," his tactical officer warned. Steve looked at the display. A Council heavy cruiser was moving into position to destroy the last civilian ship. There was only one way to stop it. "All power to engines," Steve ordered. Ramming speed. The Guardian accelerated toward the Council ship. The alien captain tried to turn away, but it was too late. The Guardian struck the Council ship amidships, both vessels exploding in a ball of fire that lit up the lunar sky. The last transport ship escaped, carrying 2,000 civilians to safety. Steve and his crew had given their lives to save them at Earth's orbital shipyards. Amy was running out of options. Most of her fighters were gone, and Council ships were closing in on the construction platforms. Thousands of workers were still trying to evacuate. "All remaining ships, this is Rodriguez," she called. "We're going to ram the shipyards." "Commander, what are you talking about?" one of her pilots asked. "If we can't save the shipyards, we're going to deny them to the Council. Those platforms are full of our newest technology. We can't let the aliens have it." Amy's remaining 3 ships formed up and flew toward the largest construction platform. It was nearly complete, a massive ship that would have been humanity's most powerful vessel. Now it would become a weapon. The patrol boats crashed into the platform's reactor core. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface, a new star that burned for several minutes before fading away. But the Council attack was not limited to military targets. Major Tony Clark was at the Colonial Research Institute when Council troops landed on the planet's surface. These aliens had been friends and colleagues just days ago. Now they were hunting humans like animals. "Major, we need to evacuate the computer core," Dr. Helen Baker said. She was the Institute's chief scientist, and she had been working on secret projects that the Council must not capture. "How long do you need?" Tony asked, listening to the sound of Council weapons getting closer. 5 minutes to wipe the main databases," Helen replied. 10 minutes to destroy the backup systems. Tony looked at his small security team. They were not soldiers, just guards who protected the Institute from thieves and vandals. But they would have to hold off trained Council warriors. "You've got your 10 minutes, Tony said. "We'll hold them here." The Council troops came through the main entrance in perfect formation. They were expecting to find frightened scientists, not determined humans ready to fight. Tony's team opened fire from behind barricades, surprising the aliens with their fierce resistance. The battle was short but brutal. Tony's guards fought with desperate courage, knowing that they were protecting humanity's most important secrets. When the smoke cleared, the computer core was destroyed, and the Council troops found nothing but empty rooms. Across human space, the same story was repeating. Outnumbered and outgunned, human forces were fighting impossible battles to save civilian lives and protect vital installations. They were losing, but they were making the Council pay for every victory. The aliens had expected an easy conquest. They thought humans would surrender quickly when faced with overwhelming force. Instead, they found an enemy that would rather die than give up. Admiral Jack Morrison received reports from across the human colonies. The news was bad. Mars Command was gone. Luna Station was destroyed. Earth's orbital shipyards were in ruins. Thousands of humans were dead, but the evacuation ships were getting through. Civilian populations were being saved. And most importantly, the Council was learning that humanity would not go quietly into extinction. The war had begun, and humans were showing the galaxy what they were truly capable of when their survival was at stake. 3 months after the Council's surprise attack, humanity was scattered but not broken. General Paul Williams had set up a secret command center deep in the asteroid belt, hidden inside a mining facility that looked abandoned from the outside. The facility was actually bustling with activity. Surviving officers from across human space had gathered here to plan their next move. The official Earth government was gone, destroyed in the Council's first strike, but the military leadership was still intact. "Report," Paul said to his intelligence chief, Major Katie Adams. "We've confirmed the location of 17 Council detention centers," Katie replied. "They're holding approximately 50,000 human prisoners. Most are civilians, but some are military personnel with important knowledge." Paul studied the holographic map floating above the table. Red dots marked Council positions throughout what used to be human space. It was depressing to see how completely the aliens had taken over. "What about our hidden bases?" Paul asked. "Still secure," Katie answered. "The Council doesn't know about our backup facilities. We have supply caches and weapons depots scattered across 40 star systems. They can't find all of them." Dr. Helen Baker entered the command center, carrying a datapad with an excited expression on her face. She had been working non-stop since escaping from the Colonial Research Institute. "General, I have good news," Helen said. "Project Prometheus is ready for testing." Paul looked up with interest. Project Prometheus was humanity's most secret weapons program. It had been hidden from the Council for over 5 years, developed in laboratories that officially did not exist. "Tell me about it," Paul said. Helen activated a holographic display that showed the design of a new type of ship. It was sleek and deadly looking, unlike anything humans had built before. "We've developed revolutionary shield technology that can absorb and redirect energy attacks," Helen explained. Our quantum torpedoes can penetrate any known alien defense system. These ships are faster and more maneuverable than anything the Council has. How many ships can we build? Paul asked. We have the components for 20 prototype vessels already constructed. If we can secure more raw materials, we can build hundreds more within 6 months. Paul felt hope for the first time since the war began. The Council thought they had destroyed humanity's ability to fight back. They were wrong. Captain Danny Foster was leading a different kind of operation. His team specialized in rescue missions, sneaking into Council facilities to free human prisoners. They had already saved over 3,000 people, but the mission today was their most dangerous yet. The prison ship is holding 500 humans. Danny briefed his team. Intelligence says they're conducting experiments on the prisoners. We need to get them out before it's too late. The Council prison ship was heavily guarded, but Danny's team had advantages the aliens did not expect. They had studied Council technology for years, learning its weaknesses. More importantly, they were fighting for their own people. Remember, we're not just saving lives, Danny told his soldiers. We're gathering intelligence. The Council thinks they're the superior species, but they're about to learn what happens when you make humans angry. The assault on the prison ship was swift and brutal. Danny's team moved through the corridors like ghosts, striking without warning. The Council guards were not prepared for human tactics, and they fell back in confusion. This way, Danny shouted, leading his men toward the prison cells. Get those people out of here. What they found in the prison cells made Danny's blood boil. The Council had been conducting horrible experiments on human prisoners, studying their bodies to find better ways to kill them. Children, elderly people, even pregnant women had been subjected to alien torture. Animals, one of Danny's soldiers whispered. They're nothing but animals. No, Danny replied grimly. Animals don't do this. The Council is something much worse. The rescue mission was successful, but the intelligence they gathered was even more valuable. The Council was afraid of humanity's adaptability and fighting spirit. They were trying to understand what made humans so dangerous, but their experiments were teaching them the wrong lessons. Back at the command center, Paul was meeting with his senior officers. The reports from Danny's mission had just arrived, and the news was disturbing. They're studying us like laboratory rats, Major Tony Clark said. They want to know why we fight so hard when other species give up. Good, Paul replied. Let them study. They'll never understand what drives us, because they've never had to fight for survival the way we have. Commander Beth Clark, Tony's sister, had just arrived from the outer colonies. She brought news about the Council's activities in former human space. They're strip mining our colonies, Beth reported. They're taking everything of value and leaving nothing but dead worlds behind. They're not just trying to conquer us. They're trying to erase us completely. Paul felt his anger growing. The Council was not content with defeating humanity. They wanted to remove all trace that humans had ever existed. What about the other species? Paul asked. Are they all supporting the Council? That's the interesting part, Beth replied. Our agents report that several species are unhappy with the Council's actions. The Alterans and the Vegan Confederacy only joined the alliance because they were threatened. They're afraid of the Council, not loyal to it. This was valuable information. The Council was not as united as they appeared. If humans could drive a wedge between the alien species, the enemy alliance might collapse. Colonel Tim Sullivan had been conducting his own intelligence operations. His Marines had captured a Council supply depot, and the information they found was shocking. The Council has been planning this for 10 years, Tim reported. They've been copying our technology, studying our tactics, even infiltrating our government. Every human innovation of the past decade has been stolen and reverse engineered. Paul was not surprised. The council had been too friendly, too eager to share information. Now he knew why. They had been preparing for war while pretending to be allies. But there's a silver lining, Tim continued. They only copied our public technology. They don't know about our classified programs. Project Prometheus is still a complete secret. Dr. Helen Baker had been working with the intelligence reports, and she had made an important discovery. The Council's weakness is their arrogance, she explained. They think they understand us because they've studied our technology, but they don't understand our creativity or our ability to adapt. They're preparing to fight the humans they think we are not the humans we actually are. Paul smiled for the first time in months. The Council had made a critical mistake. They had underestimated humanity's greatest strength, the ability to change and grow when faced with impossible odds. What's the status of our hidden fleet? Paul asked. 23 ships are operational, Helen replied. They're hidden in the outer system, beyond Neptune's orbit. The Council doesn't even know they exist. And our people? Angry, Beth said simply. Every human who survived the initial attack knows someone who died. They're not just fighting for territory or resources. They're fighting for revenge. Paul looked around the command center at his officers. These were not the same people who had served in the peacetime fleet. The war had changed them, made them harder and more determined. They had learned to fight in the shadows, to strike without warning, to show no mercy to enemies who had shown none to them. The Council thinks they've won, Paul said. They think humanity is finished. It's time to show them how wrong they are. The resistance phase of the war was coming to an end. Humanity had survived the Council's attempt at genocide, learned from their mistakes, and prepared for the next phase. The aliens had awakened something in humans that they did not understand and could not control. The counterattack was about to begin, and the Council was about to learn what happened when you betrayed the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Humans had been holding back during the years of peace, trying to be good galactic citizens. That time was over. Now the Council would see what humans were truly capable of when their survival was at stake. The war for humanity's future was about to enter a new and deadlier phase, and this time humans would not be the victims. They would be the predators. Admiral Jack Morrison stood in the command center of his secret fleet, watching the final preparations for humanity's counterattack. 6 months of hiding and planning had led to this moment. The Council thought they had destroyed Earth's military power, but they were about to learn the truth. Fleet status report, Jack called to his officers. All ships are ready, Admiral, Commander Beth Clark replied. 23 vessels of the Retribution class, fully equipped with Project Prometheus technology. Crews are at battle stations. Jack looked at the tactical display showing the hidden fleet. These ships were unlike anything humans had built before. They were sleek and deadly, designed specifically to hunt and destroy Council vessels. The aliens had no idea what was coming. What about our target? Jack asked. The Council supply convoy is right on schedule, reported Captain Greg Thompson. 47 ships carrying weapons and supplies to their forward bases. They're protected by 12 heavy cruisers. Jack smiled coldly. The Council had grown careless in their victory. They thought humanity was broken, scattered, and unable to fight back. Their supply ships traveled with minimal protection, following predictable routes. Launch the attack, Jack ordered. The USS Retribution, commanded by Beth Clark, led the assault. The human ships dropped out of hyperspace around the Council convoy, appearing like ghosts in the darkness. The alien captains had only seconds to react before the shooting started. The new human weapons were devastating. Quantum torpedoes punched through Council shields like they were made of paper. The revolutionary human shield technology absorbed. The aliens returned fire and redirected it back at them. In minutes, The entire convoy was destroyed. No survivors, Beth reported. All Council ships eliminated. It was the first major victory for humanity since the war began, but it was only the beginning. Across the galaxy, other human strike forces were launching similar attacks. Captain Greg Thompson commanded a squadron of fast attack ships. His mission was to hit Council supply lines deep in enemy territory. The aliens had taken over human space, but they still needed supplies from their home worlds. Remember, we're not fighting a traditional war, Greg told his pilots. We're wolves hunting in packs. Hit fast, hit hard, and disappear before they can respond. Greg's ship struck at a Council fuel depot, destroying millions of gallons of Starship fuel in a spectacular explosion. Before the enemy reinforcements could arrive, the human ships were gone, jumping to hyperspace and leaving only wreckage behind. The Council commanders were confused and angry. They had expected any surviving humans to fight a defensive war, protecting their remaining bases. Instead, humanity was attacking everywhere at once, striking targets the Council thought were safe. Major Katie Adams was leading a different kind of mission. Her team specialized in precision strikes against Council leadership. They had identified the locations of several high-ranking alien officers and were hunting them one by one. Target confirmed, Katie whispered into her communicator. Admiral, Vex is in the command center, just like our intelligence said. Katie's team had infiltrated a Council command ship, moving through the corridors in stolen alien uniforms. The Council had grown overconfident, believing their security was perfect. They were wrong. The attack was swift and silent. Katie's soldiers eliminated the guards and burst into the command center. Admiral Vex, one of the Council's most important leaders, barely had time to look up before human weapons cut him down. Command center secured, Katie reported, downloading their computer files now. The intelligence gathered from these raids was invaluable. The humans learned about Council fleet movements, supply routes, and defensive positions. More importantly, they discovered that the alien alliance was not as strong as it appeared. Colonel Tim Sullivan's Marine forces were conducting a different kind of operation. They were boarding and capturing Council installations, taking prisoners and gathering information about the enemy's capabilities. Boarding party ready, Tim announced as his ship approached a Council listening post. Remember, we need prisoners. The intelligence division wants to question their officers. The attack on the listening post was overwhelming. Tim's Marines used new weapons and tactics that the Council had never seen before. The alien defenders were trained to fight other alien species, not humans who thought and fought differently. Station secured, Tim reported. We've captured 15 Council officers and their complete database. The aliens were intercepting communications from their own allies. Looks like they don't trust each other as much as we thought. The information Tim's team gathered was shocking. The Council was spying on its own member species, looking for signs of disloyalty. Several alien races were unhappy with the war and were secretly considering switching sides. Back at the command center, General Paul Williams was coordinating the overall strategy. Reports were coming in from all over the galaxy, and the news was good. Human forces were winning battles that should have been impossible. The Council is in panic, Paul's intelligence chief reported. They're pulling ships from other sectors to protect their supply lines. Their entire fleet is being repositioned to deal with our attacks. Paul looked at the strategic map. Red dots showed Council positions, while blue dots marked human strike forces. The aliens still had more ships, but they were scattered and confused. They were reacting to human moves instead of making their own plans. What about the prisoner camps? Paul asked. Captain Foster has rescued over 10,000 people, the intelligence chief replied. The Council is moving the remaining prisoners to more secure facilities. but that's actually helping us. They're wasting resources on guard duty instead of offensive operations. Captain Danny Foster was indeed making the Council's life difficult. His rescue teams had become so effective that the aliens were afraid to keep human prisoners in any facility near the front lines. The prison ship is lightly guarded, Danny told his team. The Council thinks we don't know about it. They're wrong. The rescue mission was Danny's most successful yet. His team freed over 800 human prisoners, including several important scientists who had been working on classified projects. The intelligence they provided was worth more than a dozen military victories. They're studying our psychological profiles, one of the rescued scientists reported. They want to understand why we fight so hard when other species surrender. They think there's some kind of genetic difference. Danny laughed grimly. Let them study. They'll never understand that we fight hard because we choose to, not because we're programmed to. The Council's confusion was growing worse with each passing day. They had studied human technology and tactics for years, but they had never understood human psychology. Now they were facing an enemy that refused to follow their predictions. Admiral Crix, the Council's supreme commander, was meeting with his staff aboard the flagship. The reports from across the galaxy were uniformly bad. Human forces were striking everywhere, and the alien defensive measures were failing. How many ships have we lost? Crix asked his intelligence officer. 237 vessels. Destroyed or captured, the officer replied. Our supply lines are completely disrupted. Several member species are questioning the wisdom of this war. Crix felt fear for the first time since the war began. The Council had expected an easy victory over a primitive species. Instead, they were facing an enemy that seemed to grow stronger with each battle. What about our reserves? Crix asked. We're pulling ships from the frontier sectors, his tactical officer reported. But the humans are adapting to our responses. Every time we reinforce one area, they attack somewhere else. The Council was learning a hard lesson about human warfare. Other species fought predictable battles, following established patterns and traditions. Humans fought to win, using whatever tactics worked regardless of military convention. Commander, Amy Rodriguez had survived the attack on Earth's orbital shipyards and was now leading her own strike force. Her mission was to destroy Council research facilities, particularly those studying human technology. The research station is heavily defended, Amy told her pilots, but they're not expecting an attack from this direction. We'll come in through the asteroid field where their sensors can't track us. Amy's attack was perfectly executed. Her ships emerged from the asteroid field like avenging angels, destroying the Council research station before the defenders could respond. Years of alien research into human technology went up in flames. That's for Mars, Amy whispered as she watched the station explode. The counterattack was exceeding all expectations. Human forces were not just surviving, they were winning. The Council's superior numbers meant nothing when their ships were being destroyed faster than they could be replaced. Admiral Jack Morrison received reports from all sectors. A strategic situation was changing rapidly. The Council was on the defensive, struggling to protect their scattered holdings from human attacks. Phase 2 is complete, Jack announced to his officers. The Council's supply lines are broken. Their leadership is in chaos, and their alliance is starting to crack. It's time for the final phase. The war was about to enter its most dangerous stage. The Council still had massive fleets and powerful weapons, but they were demoralized and confused. The time had come for humanity to strike the killing bee. The final battle began when the Council's remaining fleet arrived at Earth's solar system. Admiral Crix had gathered every ship under his command, over 800 vessels representing 12 different alien species. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Admiral Jack Morrison watched the enemy fleet approach from the bridge of the USS Nemesis. His own forces were vastly outnumbered, but he was not worried. The Council had no idea what they were facing. Enemy fleet composition? Jack asked his tactical officer. 400 heavy cruisers, 300 destroyers, and about 100 support vessels, came the reply. They're maintaining tight formation, following standard Council battle doctrine. Jack smiled. The Council was still fighting like they always had, following rules and traditions that made them predictable. Humans had thrown away the rule book months ago. All ships, this is Admiral Morrison, Jack broadcast to his fleet. Today we end this war. Today we show the galaxy that humanity will not be destroyed. Attack formations Alpha through Delta. Execute. On my mark. The human fleet was smaller, but far more advanced. Every ship was equipped with Project Prometheus technology, weapons and defenses that the Council had never seen before. More importantly, every human crew was fighting for their homeworld and their species survival. Captain Lisa Turner commanded the USS Defiant, leading a squadron of fast attack ships. Her mission was to break through the Council's defensive screen and target their command vessels. Remember, we're not trying to destroy their entire fleet, Lisa told her pilots. We're hunting their leadership. Cut off the head and the body. Dies. Lisa's ships accelerated toward the Council formation, their quantum torpedoes ready to fire. The alien defensive fire was heavy, but the human shields absorbed most of the damage. The Council weapons that had once seemed so powerful were now ineffective against human technology. Torpedo spread, fire. Lisa ordered. The quantum torpedoes struck the Council flagship, penetrating its shields and armor like they were made of tissue paper. The explosion was visible across the solar system, a brilliant flash that marked the death of Admiral Crix and his entire command staff. Direct hit on the enemy flagship, Lisa reported. Their command structure is broken. Without their supreme commander, the Council fleet began to lose coordination. Different species started following their own tactical doctrines instead of working together. The tight formation began to break apart. Commander Amy Rodriguez was leading a different attack. Her ships targeted the Council's heavy cruisers, the backbone of their fleet. These massive vessels had terrorized human colonies for months, but now they were about to face human revenge. All units, focus fire on the lead cruiser, Amy ordered. Show them what happens when you attack innocent civilians. Amy's squadron unleashed everything they had. The Council cruiser tried to return fire, but its weapons could not penetrate the human shields. Within minutes, the alien ship was a burning wreck drifting through space. One down, 399 to go, Amy said grimly. The battle was spreading across the entire solar system. Human forces were everywhere at once, striking from unexpected angles and disappearing before the Council could respond. The aliens had never faced an enemy that fought like this. Captain Greg Thompson was leading wolf pack attacks against the Council supply ships. These vessels carried ammunition and fuel for the alien fleet, and destroying them would cripple the enemy's ability to fight. Target the fuel tankers first, Greg told his pilots. Without fuel, their big ships become sitting ducks. Greg's attack was devastating. The fuel tankers exploded one after another, creating a chain reaction that destroyed dozens of nearby ships. The Council fleet suddenly found itself running low on supplies in the middle of the biggest battle of the war. Major Katie Adams was conducting a special operation. Her team had infiltrated one of the Council command ships and was now hunting alien officers throughout the vessel. The Council had killed thousands of innocent humans. Now it was time for payback. Bridge secured, Katie reported as her soldiers eliminated the ship's captain and crew. Were uploading a virus into their communication system. The virus was designed by human computer experts who had studied Council technology for months. It spread through the alien communication network, like wildfire, causing confusion and chaos throughout their fleet. Enemy ships are receiving false orders, Katie reported. Some are attacking their own allies. Their entire command structure is falling apart. Commander Beth Clark was leading the USS Retribution in a direct assault on the Council's main battle. Lying. Her ship was humanity's most advanced vessel, equipped with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. All weapons, maximum power, Beth ordered. Let's show these aliens what human engineering can do. The Retribution's main gun fired a concentrated energy beam that cut through 6 Council ships in a single shot. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Their own weapons seemed primitive by comparison. Impossible, one of the surviving Council captains broadcast. How did they develop such technology? The answer was simple. Humans had been secretly working on advanced weapons for years, driven by curiosity and innovation. The Council had copied human technology, but they had never understood the creativity that produced it. Colonel Tim Sullivan's Marine forces were boarding Council ships throughout the battle. Their mission was to capture alien officers and gather intelligence, but they were also sending a message. Humans could fight in space, on planets, and inside enemy vessels. Boarding Party Alpha, the ship is ours, Tim reported. All alien crew. Eliminated or captured. We're downloading their database now. The intelligence Tim's teams gathered was revealing the Council's desperation. Many alien species wanted to surrender, but they were afraid of what their allies would do to them. The Council alliance was held together by fear, not loyalty. Dr. Helen Baker was monitoring the battle from the command center, analyzing the performance of humanity's new weapons. The results were better than she had hoped. Our quantum torpedoes are performing at 120% efficiency, Helen reported. The Council's shields can't adapt to our technology. We're destroying their ships faster than they can retreat. General Paul Williams was coordinating the overall strategy from his command ship. Reports were coming in from across the solar system, and they were all good news. The Council fleet was being systematically destroyed. What's our casualty rate? Paul asked. Minimal, his tactical officer replied. We've lost 12 ships out of 200. The Council has lost over 400 vessels. At this rate, their fleet will be completely destroyed within 6 hours. Paul felt satisfaction, but not mercy. The Council had tried to commit genocide against humanity. They deserved no pity from their intended victims. Captain Danny Foster was leading rescue operations to save human prisoners from Council ships. Even in the middle of the battle, humanity was not forgetting its captured people. Transport secured, Danny reported. We've rescued 300 prisoners from the Council detention ship. They're all civilians who were captured during the initial attacks. The rescued prisoners told horrific stories of alien experiments and torture. The Council had been studying humans like laboratory animals, trying to understand what made them so dangerous. Now they were learning the answer firsthand. As the battle continued, more and more Council ships tried to surrender. But humanity was not in a forgiving mood. Admiral Morrison had given clear orders. No quarter would be given to enemies who had shown no mercy to human civilians. Admiral, the Alteron fleet is requesting permission to surrender, the communications officer reported. Denied, Jack replied coldly. They made their choice when they joined the attack on Earth. Now they live with the consequences. The Alteron ships were destroyed like all the others. Word spread quickly through the Council fleet that humans were not taking prisoners. The alien crews began to panic, knowing that surrender was not an option. Commander Amy Rodriguez had linked up with several other squadrons to attack the Council's remaining heavy cruisers. These massive ships were the last real threat to humanity's victory. All units concentrate fire on the lead cruiser, Amy ordered. Don't let any of them escape to threaten our colonies again. The final phase of the battle was swift and brutal. The surviving council ships tried to retreat, but human forces pursued them relentlessly. Ship after ship was hunted down and destroyed until only wreckage remained. "Enemy fleet is completely destroyed," Lisa Turner reported. "All council vessels eliminated. The solar system is secure." Admiral Morrison looked out at the debris field that had once been the largest military force in galactic history. The Council's ships were now nothing but scrap metal drifting through space. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison," Jack broadcast. To his fleet, "The war is over. Humanity has won." The victory was total and complete. The Galactic Council, which had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, was destroyed. The alien species that had tried to exterminate humanity were now scattered and leaderless dot in the weeks that followed. Delegations from across the galaxy came to Earth to surrender. The surviving alien species begged for mercy, promising never again to threaten humanity. Some were sincere, others were simply afraid. Jack stood before the assembled alien ambassadors in awe.